Ladies and gentlemen, we have an update on Donald Trump's approval rating, with Trump coming out and saying he's as popular as ever with his base. This is a narrative that's been spun by CNN and a lot of the major liberal news sites, to where they say, well, Trump's actually gained supporters during the Epstein debacle. And you've got some people saying, well, it's just all these crazy influencers on the right that are pushing this Epstein stuff, and it's tearing the base apart and they shouldn't be doing this. I don't really know if I'm included in that. I don't think I'm relevant enough to be included in that, but I mean, this is just the way it is. The Epstein stuff's been handled terribly. That's the reality of it. You can see Trump saying Epstein hoax was, since the Epstein hoax was exposed, his approval rating among Republicans has gone up significantly. You can see my poll numbers within the Republican Party and MAGA have gone up significantly since the hoax was exposed by radical left Democrats and just plain. I don't even know what he's talking about. What does he mean the hoax was exposed? I'm not even sure how to interpret that, but that's what he says. And he says they have it around 90, 92, 93, 95% in various polls. That's Republicans' approval of Trump. The general election numbers are my highest ever. People like strong borders, and certainly Trump's done a really good job with the border. 100% agree. But I don't know what he's saying. He's talking about the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again. So what part of it is a hoax? But that's what he says, and then you take a look at it, and it's just simply not true overall. Now, this is Real Clear Politics. I mean, you can even take a look at Rasmussen, which has up to the minute or up to the day polling, and the polling certainly has gone into the negative for Trump, and this is like a 3-month low now for Trump. Trump is sitting at an overall spread of around minus 5.7, which is the lowest it's been since the reaction to the Liberation Day tariffs and the stock market and the speculation of a recession, which happened in May. So you're talking about around a 2.5-month low for Trump in terms of overall approval, in part because of the Epstein situation. I mean, that it is what it is. And we're also, the other thing I'll have to look at is just, you see Rasmussen only has him +2. Normally they've got him +5 or +6. Is there a insider advantage? Okay, so there is no insider advantage in this aggregate. When they come out with the poll, I would imagine they're going to be very positive for Trump. I don't see them. When they release one, it's probably going to be like +6 or +7. That's going to lower the spread. They have the spread right now minus 6.6, actually. I thought it was 5.7. It just hasn't updated. Oh, there it is, 6.6. So, yeah, I mean, that is almost Trump's high in terms of unapproval. So, this whole thing where all these liberal sites are feeding us saying, oh, Republicans love him. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, this situation's been botched. Now we can debate on the level of, normies in terms of how much they care about this, because you've got people that say, well, barely anyone cares about the Epstein situation. It's just like terminally online right people who hate Israel, and we're the only ones that care. But no, this is the thing it's been really bad. It's a government cover up. It's a uniparty problem. Liberals are trying to take advantage of it. That's why I have to defend Trump in some cases against the liberals who say, well, he's on the list, and they cite the Wall Street Journal, and it's just all total crap, especially if you know the history of Epstein and Trump bringing up Epstein and bringing him into the ether of the political discussion in 2015, saying Bill Clinton went to the island and he's going to have serious problems with that. There's no way Trump would bring something like that up if he was guilty of doing horrible things or knowing of terrible things that happened at that island. It just doesn't make any sense for Trump to do that. Why would you bring it up? So when you understand the real history of Epstein and you have to defend Trump in some cases, I'm not defending him in the way the administration has handled this. I think it's a really bad job. And Trump has to realize these are liberal pollsters trying to say, keep doing what you're doing. It's, but no, it's we need Trump to understand negative enforcement here. Your approval numbers, your overall numbers. This is Real Clear Politics. This is the composite. This is what you want to look at. There's all these BS liberal sites that have Trump down to like minus 20. And you've got some conservatives sites that have Trump like +3, +4. But the reality is when you average it out in a composite, even if you say most of these pollsters are liberal, Trump is at a low approval as a reaction in part because of this situation. Now they're trying to say, well, among Republicans, so let's not include independents, let's not include Democrats, it's an all-time high. I find that very hard to believe, and even if it was true, if you have a bad approval rating among independents, it's a problem. So Trump needs to understand he's getting bad info. The base does not like this at all. And then people say, well, you're just a tone deaf influencer online. What is that even? What, an influencer? Who am I influencing? I just report on I'm just saying what happens. And so it's like these people are just, at some point, the administration's done a really bad job with this. What do you want me to say? And then some people say I'm not too far, and I say, no, it's been terrible. But I have to defend Trump when liberals say that he went to the island, he does all these terrible things. You have to contextualize it and force these people to understand, well, no, why wouldn't you guys release it? You hate Trump. You say he's the worst thing ever. You say he's the next Hitler, yet you let him take office with the executive authority to stop Trump if Trump supposedly did all these terrible things just because you want to protect Bill Clinton. Really, that's what we're going to believe? It doesn't make any sense. Trump is getting bad information. They're trying to manipulate it. I see what CNN is doing. They're saying, well, Trump has his highest approval rating among Republicans. You know how they only say among Republicans? They want to reinforce it to Trump as like, oh, you see, Trump should keep doing what he's doing. And now Trump is kind of acting really petty to where he's like, well, I'll release it just because people are so angry and you guys will never be satisfied. I mean, this is like a temper tantrum. And look, I like Trump, but when you say stuff like that, it's like, oh, you guys will never be happy. I could release everything. Well, dude, stop. Can somebody advise Trump to just, I don't think there is any advisement with it. I really don't. But listen, it is what it is. They say, well, Trump is, and look, when they add an insider advantage, like, where's the insider advantage numbers? Where is the insider advantage? Is it not on here? The last insider advantage poll was seriously plus 10. See, I don't want to go to their actual, no, I don't want you to take me to that. I don't care. What I want to see is I want to see that is their most recent poll. It's a Republican pollster. RMG Research was plus 7, then they were plus 4. They're plus 4 again. Rasmussen plus 2. Do they have a previous Rasmussen? Well, it's a rolling average with Rasmussen, so I don't know if they'll actually have a previous. No, they don't have it here. The Rasmussen poll has gone down, I know that. I mean, CBS minus 16 is ridiculous. That's not an accurate poll. I'm sorry. It's just not. Quantus Insight's only minus 2. Big Data poll. Aren't they a liberal pollster, Big Data? Quinnipiac minus 14. That shouldn't surprise anyone. CNN minus 12. Harvard Harris minus 2. That's a good poll for Trump. Harvard Harris minus 2. Atlas minus 11. Yeah, I'm starting to get wary of Atlas. I'll tell you what, Atlas, there was something that happened with Atlas. I'm not exactly sure. If you guys remember the dynamic. And by the way, how about these idiot liberals now? These people do not, to this day, they do not understand how betting works and Polymarket works. I still see these people, and I think this is animosity because they were so idiotic and so stupid when it came to the election. Because remember, Polymarket always said Trump was going to win. He had like a 65, 66% chance. And they would always say Polymarket is just, it's Nazis voting on Trump, and that's the only reason he's up. And then Polymarket has like the best night ever, and he wins easily. And so recently Polymarket releases these updated or their first odds on the 2028 nominee, and you've got these liberals like bad mouthing it. They don't understand how volume works and betting, and I mean it's based off of who people bet on. That's who's going to lead. It's not their own odds. Whoever gets the most money, that's who's going to lead in terms of these people don't know how they don't know how betting works. But they've had this animosity because the betting said Trump was going to win, and they were screaming, saying it's a bunch of neo-Nazis betting on Trump and a bunch of right-wing people. They don't realize there's a bunch of sharp money on Trump. But anyways, the point of Atlas Intel, there's been really bad polls for Republicans. I think something happened with Atlas Intel. I don't know what. You know, they were this Republican darling. They got everything right in 2020. They did very well in 2022. And then they get everything right in 2024. Now they're like rabidly liberal. And then liberals are like, oh, you can't cope. It's just now we trust Atlas Intel and Trump is this. Now, I don't buy their congressional poll, their generic ballot. I don't buy that. Remember it said liberal plus 11? There's no way. There's no way Atlas Intel is. There's something up with Atlas Intel. I don't know what it is. But you can see, what is this exactly? This is Trump's approval rating right now. And yeah, I mean, listen, it's still better than the first term. Trump needs to. I mean, this is just more delusion, and this is what liberals want from Trump. They want him to think he's doing a good job with the Epstein situation. He's not doing a good job. He's got to stop being delusional. He's got to wake up. It can be salvaged, maybe. Although I don't even know if it can be, because if Trump is being blackmailed behind the scenes, then there's not going to be anything that gets released. They can unseal certain things and try and say, well, see, we did it. But there's not going to be anything of substance that's actually released. There's not going to be anything that leads to arrests or anything like that. And so it's all just, this ultimate, Israel protection within, government officials who were involved in this. And this is why people have such a big problem, especially young people. And really on both sides when it comes to the Israel issue. So listen, this is not good. And you try and tell Trump, look, even these polling numbers say the independents do not like this. You would think that Trump, we were kind of climbing back there in mid-July. We were really climbing back, and then we had the Israel situation with Iran. And so that kind of teetered things for a bit. You want to wait for everything to calm down. Things start to calm down. We get some good stuff. Trump with the big, beautiful bill, it passes. We're going to have a great economy. And then we have this Epstein mess. I think this Epstein mess alone really has taken it from a -3 to a -6. I don't know what else it would really, what would be the thing that causes, you could say it's normal fluctuation, but a full 3 points in terms of a composite where there's like 10 different polls averaged together. I think that the Epstein situation's been a major negative for Trump in terms of these polls. People need to stop feeding Trump this information like he's doing a good job. It's just reinforcing this problem we have. And then they say, well, it's his approval rating is as high as ever. You're just a tone deaf person. You don't realize normal people don't care about this. Well, yeah, this is a terrible government cover up, and it involves potentially foreign governments blackmailing our politicians. It's a huge problem. And let alone all the victims and how bad that is and how liberals don't care about it at all. And they've used the victims as props. They said it was all conspiracy. They basically said it didn't exist because it was all about Bill Clinton. And they said, no, it can never be that. Now suddenly, because Trump, they're saying he's going to be implicated. They're saying his administration's doing a bad job. Now suddenly you care. And now you've got Gavin Newsom, who's like, where are the Epstein files? Buddy, where was that question 4 years when your party controlled the executive branch? And why doesn't the reporter, if you're a reporter worth a damn and Gavin Newsom tells you where are the Epstein files, why is your first response to him, where was this energy when your party actually controlled the ability to release the files? And then Newsom's gonna be like, well, we never said we would. Well, isn't that a bigger issue within your own party? We actually are forcing Trump into a corner now, and it's making him look bad, and it's hurting his approval rating. It's hurt our own party. The Republicans have done something that's completely self-inflicted onto Trump because we demanded government accountability. The only reason this is happening, I think these dumb people like CoffeeZilla, who just, they just come in, they've it's like one little iota of what's actually going on, and they're like, let's analyze this single article and then act like we know everything. Like, dude, really? Seriously? And then there's all these bots in the comments, just like, they're not literal bots, they're people. That's the problem, is they're actually people. They're like, oh, Trump is guilty. You don't even know what you're talking about. You really don't. Do you know the history of the situation? This is what you get. And now we're getting, it's compounding. It's getting worse now. Because now Trump's like, oh, CNN says, and all these media outlets say, my approval rating among conservatives is as high as it's ever been. Well, dude, your administration just flubbed this big situation. How would you figure that? How do you figure it's and look, we appreciate all the good things that's happened. We really do. The border, I've talked about, it's great, but we'd like to see the deportations higher, and there's a bigger issue with that in general. And whether Trump's able to deport 1 million a year or not, it doesn't even matter, because if there's 30 million people in this country illegally and you're only able to deport 1 million per year, why don't you do the math on that? That's a bigger issue that I don't think is going to be solved, because we've had such a rapid demographic change. There's not physically enough people in the United States that would support such a massive overhaul to our immigration, deportation efforts, and just the immigration policy in general. It's already too far gone. So we can't even deport them. Maybe we'll deport 1 million a year. I don't know. But I don't even think it matters. If there's 30 million people here illegally, you could say 20 million. You need 4 years of 4 years of Trump, 8 years of Vance, and then what? You deport like 15 out of the 30 million. There's going to be self-deportations. I agree. I'm just saying, think about that. But like, look at this. Trump has got to realize this is not good. This is, no, we didn't know. But you just knew this was coming. See, I saw that these mainstream outlets, the cable news that Trump watches, they were all reporting this. And so you can only imagine Trump's going to see it, and Trump's going to start bragging about it. But I don't even know what this means. Since the Jeffrey Epstein hoax was exposed by, wait, what do you mean why? What do you mean liberals exposed the Jeffrey Epstein hoax? Number, I'm not even sure. I mean, I guess you could run with the Wall Street Journal thing being a hoax, but the Wall Street Journal, they're not even in the same. They don't even know what they're talking about. Nobody is insinuating among the Republican Party that Trump is guilty of these terrible acts. They swung and missed badly because they're not even on the same wavelength of understanding. They're like, oh, we've got it now. He doodled a naked woman and oh, he doodles. He's lying about not doodling because he drew a freaking stick figure when he was 5 years old. See? Like, this stuff is so ridiculous. Oh, he drew a building? Oh, he's so guilty. He drew a building. He's talking in cryptic pedo talk. These people are just you know what? Liberals really should be ashamed of themselves if they believe this. They really should be ashamed of their own party. Their own party sat on this information about Trump as this horrible, horrible person who supposedly abuses kids, and you sat on this information because you protected a uniparty. You've got a disgusting party. You are all disgusting. See, I'm being sarcastic, but it's the overall point we're driving home. And it is a uniparty problem. But I'm just sick and tired of talking about this. I really am. But what else is there to talk about? This is the modern, this is what's happening right now. So let's just see if we can get past this. Just release something. Just, that's all I'm going to say. Just release something and then we'll move past it. It's a terrible look for the administration, and it's a bigger problem with Trump and the protection of Israel, and I think it's terrible. But what do you want me to say? And Trump now is reinforcing the bad behavior by saying my polling numbers are up. They're not up, dude. You look at the composite, they're not up. You're getting bad, faulty information from liberal pollsters to try and reinforce the bad. I mean, what is the congressional? I guess the congressional doesn't matter. Plus 2.5. That's not. See, look, dude. Atlas is getting some. Atlas has become. There's something off with that. Yeah, there's something really off with Atlas. Liberals and I'll be like, oh, Atlas is the number one pollster. Oh yeah, Atlas +8, +2, +1, +1, +3, +2, +1, +8. That's an outlier. Give me a break. No, these are bad numbers for liberals, especially considering how good the Republicans did in 2024. They're only +2.5 generic ballot. Remember, 2018 generic ballot, they closed like +9 in the midterms during Trump's. Yeah, they closed +8.5 generic ballot. They're screwed in the mid. Well, I don't want to say that. They're going to have a tough time in the midterms if they're +2.5, but so we'll see. But either way, guys, I think Trump needs to understand this is not going well. The polling numbers are not good. You're getting bad intel. You're just getting bad intel. The independent people do not like this. So maybe it's time to change course a little. Well, I think it's too late for that. They are maybe changing course by releasing or unsealing the court documents. But I think most people believe there's probably not much involved in those. So it's like, it's just seen as this fake thing done to try and appease the base. And Trump is treating it as that. He's saying, fine, you know what? You're all over dramatic. I'll release something for you so you can all shut up. That's basically what Trump is saying. And so you have to take that into account, and we have to absorb it and understand it. And Trump has had a tough time the past few weeks. But listen, Trump just needs to get better advisement. I don't think it's going to happen, though, because he's bullheaded about this. There's probably something else behind. Something changed with Trump behind the scenes. There's somebody threatened to blackmail Trump, I think. There's nothing else, or somebody that Trump knows or something like that. There's nothing else that really explains it. There's nothing else that really explains this change. And people say, well, Trump never said he would release them. Okay, well, there's a bit of a difference between saying what Trump said previously, which was, we'll look into it, and saying it doesn't exist, stop talking about it. Okay, there's a difference between the coyish behavior and then saying, stop it, Jeffrey Epstein doesn't exist, how dare you mention it, you're not my supporter if you talk about it. There's something that happened, I think, with Trump. Something happened, and now suddenly there was a threat behind the scenes. I don't know exactly what it is, you can just speculate, but that's what I think. But either way, guys, make sure you like the video down below. Also, follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.